Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, na kwa niaba yangu
Mizigi, sorry.
Mizigi, yes, Speaker.
I know you as Haika.
Yes, thank you.
So that's not the name on the screen.
Asante Bwana Spika, kwa niaba yangu binafsi na watu wa Taita Taveta na Pwani yote kwa jumla, hata mimi naungana na wenzangu kuleta rambirambi zangu kwa familia ya Mheshimiwa Kulo na watu wa Banisa na Mandera yote mzima. Kwa kweli tulipoteza kiongozi ambaye alikuwa ni mkakamavu, kiongozi ambaye alikuwa ni mpenda watu na mahusiano yake yalikuwa mazuri sana na watu. Mheshimiwa Spika, hii inatufunza tunapoishi kwa hii dunia tujue maisha ni ya Mungu na basi tutengeneze mahusiano yetu hapa duniani. Vile vile nachukua fursa hii Bwana Spika kutoa rambirambi zangu kwa watu wa Kishushe pale Taita Taveta, ambapo siku ya leo pia walikuwa wanapumzisha watu 4 ambao walifariki kupitia mafuriko ambao yametokana na mvua zilizonyesha hivi juzi. Pole zangu kwa watu wa Kishushe, watu wa Mwatate. Asante sana Spika kwa kunipatia fursa hii. Asante.
Mandera South. Give the honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to mourn our colleague in the House, my personal friend, my neighbor, my party mate, and my county mate, Honorable Kulo Malim Hassan, whose untimely demise shocked the nation, shocked Mandera County, and shocked all of us. Mr. Speaker, sir, I must take this opportunity to thank you, the Speaker, and the leadership of the House for the support you offered to the family of our departed colleague when his untimely demise was announced. Honorable Kulo was a very humble man, and it took him 25 years struggle to become an MP for the first time. He had tried for 25 years, and then he got lucky in 2017 through the EFP party, and then he was elected for the second time last election on 9th August 2022. Honorable Kulo was immensely loved by his constituents. He was a humble man who loved to walk on foot, whether it is in the CBD or whether he was going to the mosque. He always loved to walk on foot. He had a bodyguard, but you rarely saw him accompanied by his bodyguard. And on behalf of myself, my family, and Mandera South constituency, I'll take this opportunity to send my condolences to the family of our departed colleague, the people of Banisa, and the people of Mandera County in general. Mheshimiwa Kulo, one thing that many people don't know, he died in the month of Ramadan. And in our Muslim faith, when you get the honor of passing away in the month of Ramadan, you are given the highest rank in Jannah, that is in paradise. And Mheshimiwa Kulo has struggled with the last 3 Ramadans. In 2021, when we were fasting, Mheshimiwa Kulo got COVID-19 and he was in the emergency. He didn't fast. He fasted in 2022, and this was his 3rd Ramadan, and he fasted for only 1 day, and then the Almighty took him away. So we wish him all the best in Jannah, and we wish his family all the best, and we wish them to have patience and perseverance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Last, Mheshimiwa Hussain from...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The death of Honorable Kulo Malim Hassan came as a shocker to the members of Parliament from Mandera and the entire northern Kenya, and the pastoralist parliamentary group, and the entire Parliament of the Republic of Kenya. We remember, I remember we traveled from Wilson Airport just 3 days ago, 3 days before his death, to Mandera to launch health task force. He came back, and the next day he was knocked by a border. One thing we know about Kulo Maalim Hassan is that Kulo was a devout Muslim. He was a prayerful person. He is someone who never missed the congregation prayers in the mosque. He is one person who is respected by the community and the entire Muslim community. We really miss Kulo, the members of parliament from Mandera. I was personally in Mandera. I remained back when my friends left, only to hear the demise of my friend. We want Kenyan parliament and the entire parliamentarians from both Senate and National Assembly to pray for the family, and we fight hard to make sure the seat comes back to the family. Maalim Hassan family is a large family with a lot of professionals who can take up the position of Kulo Maalim Hassan. Maybe we will help them get back the seat to make sure the family remains, in sober mind. I thank the leadership of Parliament, starting from the Speaker, the Honorable Speaker, and the entire leadership for organizing, a strong team to organize for his patio. That was really a wonderful patio that was done for our colleague. We were really very happy the way our members have really attended that patio, and the way our Speaker has really addressed that congregation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We hope the family will be patient, and inshallah we will all be, we will all be prayerful, knowing that we can die any minute. Let me tell you, we may not know who is next in this family right now. We may not know. Next tomorrow, the day after, others might follow. But we hope God will at least give us time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Order, majority, take your seat. Honorable members, I know the passion that we feel following the loss of our colleague. Everybody wants to speak, but I want to believe that those who have spoken for all of us. We have to go on to other business. Honorable members have a message from the President. Honorable members, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 42, I wish to convey the following message from His Excellency the President regarding the nomination of a person for appointment as a member of the National Police Service Commission. In the message, honorable members, His Excellency the President conveys that in exercise of powers conferred on him by Article 252 of the Constitution and Section 6(5) of the National Police Service Commission Act 2011, he has nominated Mr. Edwin Kiprono Cheluget as a member of the National Police Service Commission. The President now seeks the approval of the appointee by this House. Honorable members, Standing Order 45 provides that upon receipt of notification of a nomination for appointment, such nomination shall stand committed to the relevant departmental committee for consideration. In this regard, I hereby refer the message from HE the President, together with the curriculum vitae, the report of the selection panel, and other testimonials of the nominees to the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security for consideration. Honorable members, Section 6(6) of the National Police Service Commission Act 2012 provides that the relevant committee of the National Assembly shall consider the matter and table a report in the House within 21 days. In this regard, the committee is expected to immediately commence the approval process and notify the nominee and the general public of the time and place for holding the approval hearing, and thereafter, upon conclusion of the hearing, table its report on or before Wednesday, 26th April 2023, to enable the House to consider the matter with statutory timelines. I thank you. Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge the following schools in the public gallery: Christ the Redeemer Kamutu Secondary School from Bere North, Embu; Bishop Ndingi Mwala Secondary School from Mwala, Machakos; Aria Primary School, Starehe, Nairobi; Metetei Boys Secondary School, Tinderet, Nandi; Chinga Boys, Othaya, Nyeri. Honorable members, on your behalf and on my own behalf, I welcome the students and their teachers to the House of Parliament. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. 1. Legal notice number 38 of 2023 relating to the climate change, public participation and access to climate change information regulations 2023 and the explanatory memorandum from the Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. 2. Proposed changes on the notification process of agreements for elimination of double taxation. 3. Report of the Auditor General and financial statements on Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, Staff Housing Mortgage and Car Loan Scheme for the year ended 30th June 2018, 2019, 2020 and 2021. Annual report and financial statements of Teacher Service Commission for the year ended 30th June 2021. Annual County Government Budget Implementation Review Report for the financial year 2021-22 from the Office of the Controller of Budget. 6th, the 10th report on status of compliance with its values and principles in Articles 10 and 232 of the Constitution for the financial year 2021-2022 from the Public Service Commission. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the year ended 30th June 2022. A. Resilience and Sustainability System for Health, RSSH, Ministry of Health. B. Support for the Healthcare Financing Strategy, Reproductive Health, Output-Based Approach Project, Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA. East African Public Health Laboratory Network, Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. D. Green Growth and Employment Thematic Programs, GGETP, Danish Embassy, Ministry of Environment and Forestry. E. Global Fund HIV/AIDS Program, Ministry of Health. F. Health Sector Support Project, Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA. And G. Kenya Gold Mercury Free ASGM Project, Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Environment and Forestry. 8. Third quarterly report of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for the year ended 2022 from the Office of the Auditor General and Department of Justice. 9. National Government Budget Implementation Review for the financial year 2022-2023 from the Office of the Controller of Budget. And reports of the County Government Budget Implementation Review for the financial year 2022-2023 from the Office of the Controller of Budget. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Majority. Chairperson Jaylak.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 11th April 2023. The report of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on the consideration of the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 60 of 2022, together with the compendium of reports of 16 departmental committees on the consideration of the bill, namely 1. Finance and National Planning, 2. Administration and Internal Affairs, number 3. Transport and Infrastructure, number 4. Education, number 5. Lands, Number 6, trade, industry, and the cooperatives. Number 7, health. Number 8, labor. Number 9, housing and public works. Number 10, sports and culture. Number 11, tourism and wildlife. Number 12, social protection. Number 13, defense, intelligence, and foreign relations. Number 14, energy. Number 15, blue economy, water and irrigation. And number 16, agriculture and livestock. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Honorable Murugara. Vice Chair, Committee on Social Protection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, the 11th April 2023. Report of the Departmental Committee on Social Protection on its vetting of a nominee for appointment as member of the National Gender and Equality Commission. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Vice Chair, Committee on Social Protection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Social Protection in its report on the vetting of a nominee for the appointment as a member of the National Gender and Equality Commission laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 11th April 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 252 of the Constitution, Section 11(7) of the National Gender and Equality Commission Act 2011 and Section 8(1) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House approves the appointment of Dr. Margaret Karungaru as a member of the National Gender and Equality Commission. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Members. On the request of the Minority Leader, the Speaker has allowed him to move a motion of adjournment to discuss a matter he says is of national importance, and that is the deteriorating state of the economy and the developing financial crisis. I call him to move his motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Yes, Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 33(1), I rise to seek leave for adjournment of the House in order to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance regarding the deteriorating state of the economy and the developing financial crisis facing the country. Honorable Speaker, the deteriorating state of the economy and failure by the government to meet its financial obligations, including settling of salaries of public officers, is worrying and indicative of growing economic strain. According to official records of the National Treasury, the economy is facing a myriad of challenges, including the dwindling national revenue collection, as evidenced by the current revenue shortfall of Kenya shillings 900 billion. Additionally, there are serious indications of waning trust in government securities, with official data from the government indicating that as at February this year, the government managed to borrow only Kenya shillings 333 billion out of the intended Kenya shillings 1.04 trillion. Further, the results of the Central Bank of Kenya 10-year Treasury bond, dated 10th April this year, indicate that the government only managed to get bids worth Kenya shillings 3.57 billion from a bid offer of Kenya shillings 20 billion, representing a paltry 17.85% This has put pressure on government funding and is likely to lead to a shutdown of public services. Honorable Speaker, it is also notable that the government has stopped. Please note, it is also notable that the government has stopped spending on priority development projects and has also delayed in releasing funds to county governments, thereby stalling operations at the county level and, of course, frustrating devolution. Notably, only Kenya shillings 162.5 billion has been released to a few of the ministries, state departments, and agencies for development this financial year, while county governments are yet to receive the equitable share of their revenue for January to April this year. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek leave of the House to discuss this matter of national concern with a view to exploring possible and lasting solutions to the problem. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Have the requisite support.
Yes, of course, yes.
The support is not only
I love the spirit,
but overwhelming. I will allocate that this motion be debated from 5 p.m. Order, honorable members, you may take your seats. Honorable Wandai, you will be called upon to move your motion at 5. And it does appear Honorable Ichungo will be there to second you. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
We have no. Honorable Majority Leader, you know we are moving into a new form of dealing with questions. So I'll give you an opportunity to inform the House of the Cabinet Secretary who is appearing tomorrow.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and my apologies. I was walking to consult with the Honorable Atandi, who was protesting your assertion that I am available to second the minority leader. And I want to confirm, indeed, I am ready to second that motion. I was only whispering.
If he was making any protest, it's totally out of order.
he was protesting, but I told him I am not seconding on WhatsApp. Maybe on WhatsApp pages, you can look for someone else to second him. But for the leader of minority, I will second. Honorable Speaker, I wish to welcome all the members back to this from the short recess and trust that we are all rejuvenated for the next part of this session. Honorable Speaker, members will recall that on Thursday, 9th March 2023, the House adopted the report of the Procedure and House Rules Committee and passed amendments to the standing orders on the manner of processing questions. This cleared the way for Cabinet Secretaries to appear in the House, to respond to questions, and to provide reports to the House pursuant to the provisions of Articles 153.2 and 153.4b of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, I hereby wish to bring to the attention of the House that pursuant to Standing Order 42A6b, the first Cabinet Secretary to appear in plenary on the afternoon sitting of Wednesday, 12th April 2023, that is tomorrow afternoon, will be Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, the Honorable Professor Kithure Kindiki. As shown in today's order paper, he will be responding to the following questions. 1, question 74 of 2023 by the Honorable Martha Wangari, MP, Gilgil constituency, on the shortage of birth registration materials, also known as B1 forms, in the country. 2, question 105 of 2023 by the Honorable Abdul Haro, Mandera South constituency, on establishment of civil registration centers in every sub-county in the country. 3, question 106 of 2023, by the Honorable Joseph Gitari, MP, Kirinyaga Central constituency, on outstanding warrants of arrest from Kagumo Police Post against a certain individual. 4 is question 107 of 2023, again by the Honorable Joseph Gitari, MP, Kirinyaga Central constituency, on emergence of criminal gangs, all groups affiliated to terror groups in the country. Honorable Speaker, as we continue with the process, I will be updating the House every Thursday on the Cabinet Secretaries who are expected to appear the following week. Honorable Speaker, let me also take this opportunity on behalf of the House to thank you, because in line with our standing orders, Honorable Speaker, you are charged with the responsibility of designating a place where the Cabinet Secretaries will answer these questions, and I'm certain, Honorable Speaker, from the briefing in the House Business Committee this morning, that that place has already been designated to where the civil servants' bench is, and there will be a podium there, Honorable Speaker, for information of members, and that was able to be set up during the House Business Committee for the Cabinet Secretary to appear, and I shall be updating again on Thursday during the normal statement on the Cabinet Secretaries who will appear in the following next week. Honorable Speaker, I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Honorable members, as I had communicated earlier, on every Wednesday we expect to deal with, and this is with the approval and sanction of the House Business Committee, an average of 9 questions on every Wednesday. If we can schedule at least an average of 3 subject to availability of those questions to each minister to break the monotony. Any member who has filed a question and does not show up and does not give any reasons for not being around in the chamber, the question will be dropped. After a question is asked, the member who has asked the question will have the first bite on supplementary. Thereafter, we'll allow 2 to 3 maximum members to ask supplementaries on the same questions, priority going to majority minority leaders if they are interested in those questions as your leaders. And on an average day, we want to deal with at least 3 ministers. If the questions are spread thinly, then 4 ministers at the very most. I encourage you members to be there to prosecute your questions, to have your facts right so that you are not on a misadventure in the guise of questions, so that we can get the public to understand fully this innovative way of interrogating ministers on the floor by you showing tremendous industry in what you do best, represent your constituencies. So don't bring a question, then you embark on asking things that are unrelated to the very question that you have brought to the House, or being personal with anybody, including the ministers, where it is not necessary. If a minister is inadequately answering the question, you leave it to Mr. Speaker or whoever is on the chair to deal with that minister. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 8, motion. Approval of nominees to 2 National Government Constituency Development Fund committees.
Musa Sirma, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the National Government Constituency Development Fund on 2 constituencies committee laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 21st March 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 43(4) of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraph 5, 2, and 10 of the National Government Constituencies Development Fund Regulations 2016, approves the list of nominees for appointment to the following two constituencies committee of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. The committees are as listed on the order paper of Samburu East constituency, Mr. Speaker, which is a replacement of the earlier, to replace one member, and the one for Kandara constituency. Mr. Speaker, this is only amending the list of Samburu, and for the Kandara constituency, Mr. Speaker, is because we have a new member who came in, Mr. Speaker, and he was not able to give within the timelines we had before, and therefore we would like to ask the House to approve these names so that they can be able to access the funds which are available now at the level of 57 million shillings per constituency. Mr. Speaker, we want to appreciate that despite the fact that our salaries were delayed, it didn't matter, but CDF, we were able to give you 12 million shillings more to be able to do your bursaries and start development projects within your constituencies. Also, the AIEs have been sent to the various constituencies today, and you will access this money as from tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move. And I want to ask Honorable Tandaza to second.
Honorable Tandaza. Give Honorable Tandaza the mic. There you are.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me start by first congratulating the member for Kandara constituency for having been elected the area member of parliament for that constituency. Honorable Speaker, it's sad that for the people of Kandara, for the whole of this financial year, they have not been able to access the funds that have been allocated for them. If I were the area member of parliament, I don't know what I would have done with all the kids that will be asking for bursaries specifically for them to go to school. But up to today, it is now upon the House, and I beseech the House as I second this motion, that we approve the committee so that Mheshimiwa, the MP for Kandara, can be able to execute his mandate as it is required by law. Honorable Speaker, I stand to second.
I propose the question, which is that this House adopts the report of the National Government Constituent Development Fund on two constituent committees laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 21st March 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 43(4) of the National Government Constituent Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraph 5, 2, and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Regulations 2016, approves the list of nominees for appointment to the following two constituency committees of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. Number 1, Samburu East Constituency, Lalaikwanani Likaaso Matthew, male adult representative, appointment pursuant to Section 43(2)(b). 2, Kandara constituency, Timothy Ng'ang'a Ndung'u, male youth representative, pursuant to Section 43(2)(b). Samuel Kagwa Gichuru, male adult representative, appointment pursuant to Section 43(2)(b). Sarah Nyanjuki Kamandi, female youth rep, pursuant to Section 43(2)(c). Roslyn Nduta Gitau, female adult representative, pursuant to Section 43(2)(c). Anthony Mwangi Kiguru, representative of persons with disability, pursuant to 43(2)(d). Sami Mburu Chege, nominee of the constituency office, male, pursuant to 43(2)(e), and Esther Mudhoni Kinuthia, nominee of the constituency office, female, pursuant to section 43(2)(e). We put the question? And now put the question, which is that this House adopts the report of the National Government Constituent Development Fund on two constituency committees laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 21st March 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of section 43(4) of the National Government Constituent Development Fund Act 2015 under paragraphs 5, 2, and 10 of the National Government Constituencies Development Fund Regulations 2016, approves the list of nominees for the appointment to the following two constituency committees of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. 1. Samburu East Constituency, Lalaiguanani Likaso Matthew, male adult representative, appointed pursuant to section 43(2)(b). 2. Kandara Constituency, Timothy Nganga Ndungu, male youth representative, section 43(2)(b). Order, minority leader. Order, you are disturbing the proceedings and is out of order to take phone calls on the floor. Samuel Kagwa Gishuru, male adult rep, section 43(2)(b). Sarah Nyanjuki Kamadi, female youth rep, 43(2)(c). Roslyn Duta Kitau, female adult rep, 43(2)(c). Anthony Mwangi Kiguru, representative of persons with disability, 43(2)(d). Sami Mburu Chege, nominee of the constituency office, male, 43(2)(e). Esther Mudhoni Kinuthia, nominee of the constituency office, female, 43(2)(e). As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the counter opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Order number 9. Motion.
Order on, hold on, clerk. I want to exercise my discretion and on the request of the majority leader to reorganize the order paper and skip order number 9 and go to order number 10, which will go on up to 5. If you have finished, the question will be put. If not, it will be put aside to go to the motion of adjournment. If the motion of adjournment is finished before our rise, then we'll go back to whatever will be left of order number 10 before we go back to order number 9. So call order number 10, sorry.
Order number 10, motion. Ratification of the agreement between Kenya and the United Kingdom on Defense Cooperation.
The Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations.
Thank you,
Honorable
Speaker. I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee of Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on its consideration of the agreement between the government of Kenya, of the Republic of Kenya rather, and the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on defense cooperation, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 21st March 2023, and pursuant to provisions of Section 8, subsection 4 of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act 2012, approves the ratification of agreement between the government of the Republic of Kenya and the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on defense cooperation, subject to the following reservations. 1. Article 6.5 of the agreement should be amended by inserting a new paragraph immediately after paragraph H to include murder as one of the offenses which are under jurisdiction of the host nation. And 2. Article 23 of the agreement to include corporate social responsibility. Honorable Speaker, the sake of time, I will skip some of my notes. Madam Speaker, sorry, that was a quick change, I didn't notice. Madam Speaker, this report details the consideration of the Departmental Committee of the agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on defense cooperation. The defense agreement provides a framework for exchange, sharing, and utilization of respective state experience, knowledge, military facilities, and infrastructure. This will be instrumental in strengthening of bilateral relations between the two states. Just to bring honorable members up to speed, is that there's been an agreement between the Kenya and the United Kingdom on matters defense. Right now, we have an exchange program. Most of our officers are taken for training in the United Kingdom under this exchange between allowing Batuk to train their soldiers in Kenya has allowed our officers to be trained alongside those ones that are trained by the UK government in the UK jurisdiction. And right now, as we are talking, we have an officer, Lieutenant Colonel Ali, who is directing staff in the United Kingdom. This helps in advancing Kenya and its officers in the region in terms of training. And this is part of what is in this agreement, Honorable Madam Speaker. So the agreement between the government of the Republic of Kenya and the government of the United Kingdom of Defense was signed on 27th July 2021 and replaces the previous Defense Cooperation Agreement signed in 2015 and which expired on 6th of October 2021. Through a letter dated 6 September 2021, the Cabinet Secretary for Defense, Dr. Monica Juma, submitted to the House for approval a copy of the agreement. It was subsequently committed to the then Committee of Defense and Foreign Relations on 8 September 2021. The committee was expected to consider the agreement and recommend its approval by the House with or without reservations pursuant to Section 8 of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act. In fact, as I mentioned, that it is important, Honorable Speaker, for this House in future, going forward, that we look at the Treaty and Ratification Act. It really does not give honorable members an opportunity to make any changes. And I think it is a responsibility of honorable members, this House, and committees of this House to look at all the agreements that are done on behalf of the people of this country and make sure that their proposals and their input is also captured in these agreements. So it is important to have a mental note that it is as we go forward, we might need to consider and look at the Ratification and Treaties Act. It is quite prohibitive and I think and unnecessary in my view in its structure as it is currently. Honorable Speaker, when the Committee of Defense and Foreign Relations of the 12th Parliament was considering the agreement review of facilitating ratification of the county government, on facilitating ratification, the county government of Laikipia, where the British Army Training Unit, commonly known as Batuk, is based, submitted a memorandum raising serious concern on defense cooperation between Kenya and UK. The county government says that since the beginning of the activities in Kenya, and despite the presence of binding agreements, Batuk had committed several atrocities to the people of the Republic of Kenya and to the environment in general. The county government of Laikipia cited the following example: Loldaiga Hills Conservancy fire incident, the murder of Agnes Wanjiru, allegedly by Batuk soldiers. Madam Speaker, this was quite a chilling experience for me. I didn't interact with this bit in last Parliament, but when it came, just to bring honorable members up to speed, this murder of Agnes Wanjiru is something that many of us will wish that it fades away. But we've decided as a committee that we must provide justice to this family. This is, Agnes Wanjiru is a 21-year-old lady who died brutally, and we believe was murdered by the British Army and had a 5-year-old child at that time. The Kenyan government rushed on investigations. The UK, at the same time, the UK government and the UK army did not want, they decided to brush this under the carpet. And we thought it was not just. As a committee, we looked at it and said, let's reverse the roles and look at it differently. What if Agnes Wanjiru had killed a white soldier? What will have been the case? How are we handling the case of Agnes Wanjiru? In my quest to deliver justice to this family and with the support of our committee, I have had several meetings, either in my personal capacity as the chair, privately and officially with the committee, to try to find out exactly what happened. This matter has been raised so many times in UK. It was raised in the UK House of Commons. And 10 years down the line, even though the memories are fading, I don't think it is too late to find justice for the family of Agnes Wanjiru. My committee then has made serious recommendation, and just to let this committee know, is that shortly we shall be inviting the Director of Public Prosecution to find out exactly what happened to Agnes Wanjiru. Agnes Wanjiru's body was found 2 months after her brutal murder in a septic tank. The only reason that this body was able to be found was because it had become a Facebook taunt by the UK military officers, and one of them confessed that when they left the bar that night, one of their colleagues committed the heinous murder of Agnes Wanjiru. However, as much as we will want to have the UK government repatriate the officer who participated in this murder, we still, like I said, have a problem with how we structure our agreements and treaties. And that is why I said this House must be involved in writing of treaties and even at some times making recommendations. I want to promise this Honorable House that I've held so much, as our committee, we've held so much discussions, and justice to Agnes Wanjiru must be availed. To that end, let me say, due to the above-mentioned concerns then, Honorable Speaker, among others, the 12th Parliament, the processing of this agreement was not concluded. A draft report was prepared, but was yet to be tabled by the House. Honorable Speaker, through the letter dated 22nd November 2022, the agreement was submitted to the Cabinet Secretary by the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Adan Bare Duale. It was consequently tabled in the House on 24th November 2022 and committed to the Departmental Committee of Defense and Intelligence and Foreign Relations for consideration. The committee was expected to consider the agreement and recommend its adoption and approval by the National Assembly with or without reservations. The agreement contains 26 articles. Just to highlight a few, Honorable Speaker, Article 2 of the agreement identifies objective and enhancing bilateral cooperation on defense by identifying a framework for exchange of experience and knowledge for the use of mutual benefit of the Republic of Kenya and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Some of those agreements, A is a security and defense policy. The UK government has continued to be of a great importance to this country, particularly on matters of defense, especially when we're dealing with terrorism. And they've continued to provide personnel, they've continued to provide material in what we call excess defense article, EDA. Some of the equipment that we use, we get them from them, and almost for free. Another one is defense administration, welfare matters, and military personnel. This one that I had mentioned, there is always an exchange program between our military and the military of the UK in trying as much as possible to make sure that they bring up to speed our officers to their sophisticated and almost advanced training in the United Kingdom. There is counter-piracy and other maritime security activities. In fact, until up to maybe 10 years ago, the Kenya Navy used to send every year our officers to the UK for training on naval tactics and naval experience. And we've gained a lot from that experience. In fact, when you engage officers who went through the training in the UK, they will tell you the kind of training they undergo is exhaustive and extremely, extremely important exercise. We will, in this agreement, will continue advancing that they continue, because they used to take 10 officers, they have scaled it down. We will want again to re-engage with them so that we are able to send as many officers as possible to train in the UK. There's also protection of the environment, which has been captured very well in this agreement. Military medical services, including research and development, military sports, disaster relief, humanitarian operations by the armed forces. It will be important for this country, for the Honorable House, Madam Speaker, to understand. When we had when we had the ferry disaster a while back, you remember the child and the mother who drowned in water. The first line of call on such emergencies is normally the military, and this training has been advanced. Initially, the divers will go up to 100 meters, I'm told, but right now we have divers who can go up to 1 kilometer under the sea because of that training that we continue to advance between Kenya, the United Kingdom, and other countries that we're entering into defense cooperation agreements. There is also counterterrorism, like I pointed earlier, defense civilian component, exchange visit of military personnel, mapping, survey, and exchange of geographic materials, and other mutual interests upon in the future. Honorable Speaker, Article 6 of the agreement prescribes the legal status of the visiting forces. The draft agreement, while subjecting the visiting forces to the laws of the host nation. When you say the laws of the host nation, Honorable Speaker, if you realized in my initial statement, I said we have included murder so that there is no runaway murder. For as long as you are in the jurisdiction of this country, you must be put on trial by that state, not repatriating the officers to be tried elsewhere where families like Agnes Wanjiru's family cannot afford to see that trial and participate on the trial. So we've allowed in this agreement that such offenses must be tried within the jurisdiction of the host nation, which is Kenya. Honorable Speaker, Article 24 of the agreement establishes the Intergovernmental Liaison Committee comprising the representatives of the Republic of Kenya and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and the Northern Ireland to oversee the implementation of the agreement. The Intergovernmental Liaison Committee is also empowered to administer and implement the agreement and to settle all disputes and misunderstandings arising from the implementation of this agreement. Honorable Speaker, moving on in considering the agreement, the committee held a total of 11 sittings. The sittings were with the Ministry of Defense and other stakeholders. Pursuant to Article 118B of the Constitution on Public Participation and Section 83 of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act 2012, the committee placed advertisement on the 2 local dailies on 20th October 2021, calling for submission of memorandum on the subject matter, and by the close of the deadline, the committee had not received any memoranda for or against the ratification of the agreement. However, the committee received submissions of the county government of Laikipia on 31st March 2022, long after the close of the deadline, but nonetheless we still looked at them and considered them in our report, which has been sufficiently addressed in this report from the committee. The memorandum of the county government of Laikipia raises concern over the claims of deaths and injuries, forms of suffering arising from activities related to the British Army training Batuk. The memo further avers that no form of compensation has been forthcoming to settle the claims. Honorable Speaker, defense agreements are important to the country as they among others, enable knowledge, transfer, and capacity building, and sharing of information in an increasingly complex global environment. Having processed the agreement, the committee observed that the agreement adds to the already existing bi- and multilateral agreements with other state agencies. The country stood to benefit from the expertise held by the counterpart state. Honorable Speaker, the committee observed that training by Batuk had failed to adhere to Kenyan laws and obligations under international law with respect to preservation of the environment pursuant to Article 8 of the agreement. And this is largely because of the earlier defense agreement. We've made it very clear that as they train, there shall not be any environmental degradation. And in fact, they will take responsibility if there was going to be any that is going to happen going forward. That are lapsed did not consider that agreement, Honorable Speaker, that lapsed did not consider the environmental impact. However, this DCA will greatly address the impact of the environment where training of the troops will take place. Honorable Speaker, the committee further noted that Article 6, Sub-Article 5 provides for various offences which are not to be considered as arising out of official duty and therefore triable by the host nation. However, murder was not listed as one of the offences, thereby allowing cases similar to that of Ignace Wanjiru, not mentioned in the report, to occur in the future. The committee further noted that Article 23 of the agreement obligates visiting forces to respect and be sensitive to tradition, customs, and culture of the local communities of the places they are deployed in. However, the agreement does not provide for social corporate responsibility. I will say it here, Honorable Speaker, that it behoves the host nation to make sure that anyone we've signed an agreement with strictly is made to adhere to the rules and regulations of the land, whether it is the county government regulations or the constitution of this country. Such cases of murder, runaway murder, degradation of the environment will not happen if officers from Kenya were training in the UK, for instance. We should not allow that to happen in our soil. We've made it on strongest terms possible to the Kenya Defence Forces, the Ministry of Defence, and even the UK government through their representatives here in this country, that this country will not, and particularly this parliament, will not tolerate any misadventure. I see the light, if you allow me 1 minute to conclude, from the officers of the UK. Honourable Speaker, it's a long report. It's a very interesting report that I will invite honourable members, because of time, that you have a look at this report. It is important. It only touches on Batuk, but I'm sure there are other misadventure by visiting people from different countries that we have exchange program with that are happening but have never been raised. Only this one was captured because of the murder of Agnes Wanjiru, and I hope that going into the future, this Parliament will look into the Treaty and Ratification Act. With those many remarks, Honourable Speaker, I will request the distinguished Honourable Member of the Committee, Honourable Mamusi, to second.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to second the motion that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations on its consideration of the agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on defense cooperation, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, which has been moved by the chairperson, the Honorable Nelson Koech, MP. Madam Speaker, as noted already, this report details the consideration by the Departmental Committee of the agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on defense cooperation. Madam Speaker, the agreement between the government of the Republic of Kenya and the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on defense cooperation had been signed on 27th July 2021 and replaces the previous defense cooperation agreement signed in 2015 and which expired on 6th October 2021. The expired agreement had been ratified by the House in 2016. Madam Speaker, the Kenya Defence Forces has been cooperating with the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland Defence Forces primarily in the defence industry training support and exchange of students in military institutions. With renewed strategic interest, it was useful to have a new agreement that took care of Kenya's interests. Madam Speaker, it is worth noting that the government then set up an interministerial committee comprising of representatives of the Ministry of Defense, Foreign Affairs and Interior, and Coordination of National Government, and the State Law Office was convened to consider and identify the Republic of Kenya's strategic interest in the bilateral cooperation with the government of the Republic of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on defense, and to further develop a draft agreement setting out the framework of cooperation. Further, a delegation from the Republic of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland was received at the Defense Headquarters in Nairobi to discuss and settle the terms of the draft agreement. Madam Speaker, the draft agreement was subsequently submitted to the State Law Office for clearance and legal advice. The draft agreement was cleared by State Law Office and the National Security Council and was accordingly signed by the parties on 27 July 2021 during the head of state visit to the United Kingdom. Madam Speaker, indeed, the agreement had been submitted for ratification in the last Parliament, a process that remained unconcluded at the end of the term of the 12th Parliament. The agreement was then resubmitted in the 13th Parliament for consideration by the National Assembly, which our committee has exercised its
especially the business that is appearing on the order paper. We indeed, let me just share this with you. We were agonizing on this particular matter when we sat as SBC, because you'll notice that there is business in the order paper that is almost a fixture of our order paper. You know, the business keep on recurring. Reason is never reached. So we need to be alive to the fact that though we may want as many of you to make comments and intervention, but because of the time factor, we will limit the number of senators to speak per statement. In this regard, I will allow just two after the chairperson has made the statement. Kindly proceed, Chairperson Agreja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B of the Senate Standing Orders to make a statement relating to the activities of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Blue Economy from 14th October 2022 to 30th March 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Senate Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries is established under Standing Order 228(3) of the Senate Standing Orders and is mandated to consider all matters relating to agriculture, irrigation, livestock, fisheries, development, veterinary services, and blue economy. Mr. Speaker, during the period under review, the committee held a total of 22 sittings, during which it considered various 5 legislative proposals, 4 bills, 11 statements, and 1 public participation, and tabled the report. Legislative proposal. Honorable Speaker, during the period, the committee considered the following legislative proposals and resolved that they be published. 1, the legislative proposal on Agriculture and Livestock Extension Services Bill 2022. 2, the legislative proposal on the Coffee Bill 2023. 3, the legislative proposal on Rice Bill 2023. 4, the legislative proposal on the protection of livestock and produce theft. And 5, the legislative proposal on the Agricultural and Food Authority Bill 2023. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I would also like to commend the CS for Industry, Moses Kuria, for lifting the ban, which came after our work on the Macadamia Amendment Bill 43. Mr. Speaker, on the bills, during the period under review, the committee considered the following 4 bills. 1, the Agriculture and Livestock Extension Services Bill 2022, that is Senate Bills number 12 of 2022. And Honorable Speaker, the Agriculture and Livestock Extension Services Bill 2022, that is Senate Bill 12 of 2022, was referred to the committee on 15th February 2023, following its introduction in the Senate by way of first reading. The committee facilitated public participation pursuant to the provision of Article 118 of the Constitution and Standing Order 145.5 of the Senate Standing Orders, and prepared its report and will be tabled in the Senate this week. 2, the Mung Beans Bill 2022, that was Senate Bill number 13 of 2022. Honorable Speaker, the Mung Bean Bill 2022, that is Senate Bills number 13 of 2022, was referred to the committee on 15th February 2023. Following its introduction in the Senate by the way of the first reading, the committee facilitated public participation pursuant to the provision of Article 118 of the Constitution and Standing Order 145.5 of the Senate Standing Orders. The committee further conducted physical public hearings on the bill in Kitui County and covered 4 areas, namely Saikuru, Ngomeni, Mutomo, Kiosiani, and prepared its report, which was subsequently tabled in the Senate. 3, Mr. Speaker, was the Tea Amendment Bill 2023, which was Senate Bill number 1 of 2023. Honorable Speaker, the Tea Amendment Bill 2023, that is Senate Bill number 1 of 2023, was referred to the committee on 16th February 2023, following its introduction in the Senate by the way